Hi, third grade. I'm back with chapter 22, The Banks of the Rhine. Xanthippus stood up and tapped the knuckle of his middle finger on the desk. "Attention!" he ordered. The boys fell silent, straightened up, and looked at him attentively. But inwardly they were sighing. Their vacation was over, and with it their adventure. Life was dull again. Outside the sun was shining, and people were hurrying by with happy faces. Spring had come with full force. But what good is it? School came first. Spring had to wait. They sneaked glances outside. Across the street on Lukos's house, there still hung the sign, Lukos, world-famous astrologist. But one of the Xanthos pupils had drawn two heavy charcoal lines across the bright red letters and had written below, "Moved to Hades." 3 days had passed since Tellus moved to Hades, and school was starting again. The boys were all present. Rufus sat on his usual bench. He still looked rather pale and worn, but he had recovered from the horrors of prison with amazing speed. The only marks he bore of his experience were the swelling on his wrists and ankles, where the chains had been fastened. Immediately after Tellus's death, Vinicius, Xanthippus, and the boys had gone to prison and released him in the nick of time. Moreover, for he was just about to be taken away secretly. The guard Tellus had bribed was himself put in chains for breaking the law. For according to law, no Roman citizen could be punished unless a formal sentence had been passed in court. Then Rufus had been taken home in triumph by his friends, and his mother Livia had wept for joy. Once again, Xanthippus tapped on the top of his desk. "My dear pupils," he began solemnly, "you have done your work well. As I have told you time and again, persistence will lead you to your goal. But now I must ask you to apply yourselves to studies with the same determination you so successfully used to rescue your friend Rufus. The task of the hour is work and learn. Tellus' frightful fate should have served as a lesson. The path of vice leads inevitably to ruin." Say that 10 times fast. Caius yawned aloud. Xanthippus's speeches always made him sleepy. "I must ask you to suppress all unnecessary noises," Xanthippus said, pausing until there was complete silence again. Then he continued, "We are all very glad that Rufus is back with us." Rufus bowed, and his friends could not help laughing. Xanthippus went on in a louder voice, "For a time it seemed that we might never see him again. But the gods were gracious to us. We all enjoyed the wonderful party at Livia's. We have brought offerings of gratitude to the household gods. We have made speeches, sung songs, and played games, and we have all eaten very well indeed. All your parents were present, and I had the honor to be your guest." "Claudia was there too," Rufus added. "I know," Xanthippus said, and he narrowed his eyes with just the faintest suggestion of a smile. "Claudia is a well-bred little girl. She is not the type of child, I think, who tries to have a spell put on her teacher." Rufus flushed. The others grinned. "But I, too, have made mistakes," Xanthippus said. "I allowed myself to be carried away by anger. That was unbecoming a teacher, and I regret it. I hope that from now on we will understand one another better. But do not imagine you can get away with laziness on that account. Now more than ever, I must ask of you hard work and perfect conduct. In mathematics, we shall finish up with Pythagoras and then turn to the study of Archimedes, Euclid, and others. In Greek, I am thinking of getting to Homer, Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. For history, I have in mind, at the moment, Pliny and Livy." Hearing this, the boys found it rather hard to look forward hopefully to the future. They pulled long faces, but Xanthippus went on serenely. "In order to round out your program, we shall not neglect the study of the earth and its peoples, And today, my young friends, we might well begin with geography. Pritonius' great victory over the rebellious Gauls provides us with a golden opportunity to take a closer look at the country where the battle took place, and at the peoples that inhabit it. Who remembers what I taught you about the Gauls last time? Antonius? Present! Antonius blurted out, jumping up nervously. He had just slipped Publius a writing tablet on which he had scribbled, "We should have left Xanthippus locked in the wardrobe." "Well, my son," Xanthippus said, "what do you know about the Gauls?" "Lots," Antonius answered with gusto. "We once had a slave who was a Gaul. He was supposed to wash the windows, but he had never seen glass and spent the whole day staring through the glass instead of washing it. My father sold him cheap." "That is not to the point," Xanthippus said reprovingly. He took his stick from the desk and went over to the map which hung on the wall. He was no longer limping. "Look here," he said, pointing to the spot on the map. "This is Gaul." The Gauls had assembled in vastly superior numbers on the left bank of the Rhine in order to fall upon Pritonius and his legions. Pritonius withdrew to the right bank, and the Gauls celebrated, thinking they had forced him to retreat. But during the night, Pritonius returned undetected and almost annihilated the army of the Gauls. Here, where my stick is pointing, is the Rhine. The Rhine is a mighty river. On both sides of it live hostile peoples. On the left bank, the Gauls live, and on the right, the Germans. He paused and called out angrily, "Caius!" Caius started, for he had been dozing. "Repeat what I have just said," Xanthippus ordered. "The Rhine. The Rhine," Caius stammered helplessly. "The Rhine is a river that has banks on both sides." The others roared with laughter. "Quiet!" Xanthippus thundered. The boys fell silent and waited resignedly for the long lecture that was as sure to follow as day follows night. But suddenly a miracle happened. Xanthippus began to laugh. The boys were thunderstruck. They had never seen their teacher laugh before. Xanthippus laughed until the tears ran down his cheeks. When the laughter began to subside, he wiped his eyes and said, still chuckling, "Caius, you really are a dumbbell." The end. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? See you later.